The word crisis is often drastically overused in football, but make no mistake about it. This Chelsea team are currently in crisis. Arsenal are about to go 16 points ahead of us when they win tonight. Arsenal are going to go 16 points ahead of Chelsea when they win this evening. This is the worst Chelsea team for 2 decades. This is the worst team that we have had for 2 decades. It is so unacceptable, and it is all symptomatic of mismanagement at boardroom level. I cannot believe how bad this team are. I cannot believe how devoid of any heart, of any aspiration, of any determination, of any tenacity that they are. You know, I said that this is the worst Chelsea team for 2 decades, and that is totally correct. But at least that team from 20 years ago, they may not have had the skill that this team possess, but they certainly have the heart and the fight and the will to win and the pride in the shirt and the pride in themselves to not put in such a languid, flaccid performance like that. I can't remember. In fact, do you know what? Thinking about it now, the only time I can think of in my lifetime of Chelsea going to St. James's Park where we would be underdogs, where we would be expecting a Newcastle win, would be when Kevin Keegan was Newcastle manager and Glenn Hoddle was Chelsea manager. That long ago. And yet now we find ourselves in the situation where we are going up to Newcastle and we're expecting to lose. And that is the most harrowing thing. Maybe we need to redefine who Chelsea are, because this is getting really murky. We are so poor. And I truly believe that it's all starting at boardroom level. Like, it's actually amazing what Todd Boehly has managed to do. Like, it's not possible, really, when you think about what he has managed to do. He has managed to get just about every single decision wrong since taking over. That takes some doing. Like, just process of elimination should mean that you get the odd thing right. Just rolling the dice mean you get the odd thing right. He has managed to get every single thing wrong since he took over. And Chelsea have now gone 5 games without a win in the league. That is the first time that has happened since the disastrous Rafael Benitez era. 2012. Like, we are breaking records that we really don't want to break. And I saw a really worrying stat. Listen to this. Chelsea have failed to beat any of the top 7 teams this season, and we still have to play Man City and Liverpool at home and away. So we haven't beaten anyone in the top 7, and we haven't played arguably the 2 best teams in the country. That is how shoddy we are. That is how shambolic we are. And it's now 3 defeats in a row for the first time since November 2015. Like, that was do you remember what Antonio Conte called that? He called that the Mourinho years. I just don't know how we get out of this. I really don't. We have a team and we have a squad full of mercenaries. We have a squad full of players that are obviously not good enough. I don't want to take anything away from Newcastle. I'm going to come on to describe and discuss their brilliance. They have been sensational, and there is no 2 ways about it. Eddie Howe is the best pound-for-pound manager in the league. He's getting more out of that squad than anyone else. But Graham Potter needs to have a look at that. Of course, Eddie Howe's been there longer. And they had some shaky times when he first got there. Do you remember when they got knocked out of the cup by Cambridge and all that? But we need to see some improvements drastically. The second that we get back from the World Cup, there needs to be an elevation in everything, because this is totally and utterly unacceptable. But when I think about everything going wrong at Chelsea at the moment, and there are a lot of things going wrong at Chelsea at the moment, if I were to make a list of 10 things that's wrong with Chelsea, Graham Potter's not even on it. There is so much wrong with the club. There is so much wrong with the structure of the club. There is so much wrong with having Todd Boehly pulling the strings. Todd Boehly as sporting director. Todd Boehly being the main man, the head honcho of our recruitment process. Of course, that leads to a situation where you end up signing players like Mark Cucurella and Kalidou Koulibaly, who are obviously not good enough, and Aubameyang, who is obviously a mercenary, who has no interest in Chelsea Football Club whatsoever. He was busy last week organising shoots with BT Sport to increase his social media profile, having a pop at Arsenal. He then proceeded to touch the ball 6 times during the game. Today, by the way, in the opposition box, Chelsea had 8 touches. We have no goal threat. At one point, we were losing the game today, and the players that we were relying on, clawing it out of the bag for us, the players that we were in the trenches with, score the goal to get us something out of this game. Please, Hakim Ziyech. Yeah, all right. Please, Kai Havertz. Yeah, all right. Please, Christian Pulisic. Can you pull it out of the bag for us? Don't be so ridiculous. Of course they can't. They aren't up to the level that that is required to be a Chelsea goalscorer. They just aren't that. And if they are that, then we, as Chelsea fans, need to accept a new reality. Because there isn't a person alive that currently thinks Chelsea are going to make top four. And if Chelsea don't make top four, you can forget about Chelsea being the dominant force that we once were. You know, our midfield is in dire need of regeneration, isn't it? Dire need. You know, Jorginho's still in there. Obviously, we need somebody new. Declan Rice or Jude Bellingham are the obvious candidates. And a Chelsea of old would have obviously gone and got hold of at least one of those players. They're not going to come to Chelsea if we finish the league 8th. Of course they're not. They're going to go to a club in the Champions League where they belong. And now we're left with the ponderous situation where we are now desperately dreaming of making it into the top four. That's what we are as a club. We're a club that desperately dream of making it into the top four, which is the very definition of a crisis. Newcastle, on the other hand, are rocketing up the table. They are doing so well. They have broken a record already. Last month, they got more points than they have ever got before, having played a game less. I think they took 16 points in the month of October, which is more than they have ever taken and in a game less. I mean, they're exceptional, aren't they? And Eddie Howe has done a remarkable job. You run out of superlatives when you talk about what he's done there. It's all very well to go, but they signed Isaac and they signed Guimaraes and they signed Pope and they signed Trippier. And obviously that helps. Signing players of that quality will elevate everything. But it's the structure of the club, the way that the club is run, the appointments that are made. They are getting it right. The recruitment is so spot on. Eddie Howe genuinely looks at the players, not just the players on the pitch, but who are they? Are they married? Are they going to be good for the dressing room? When he signs players, he does a full background check. It isn't, should we sign Aubameyang? Yeah, all right. Should we sign Cucurella? Yeah, all right. It isn't that. It's a full background check. Are you right for his ethos and his methodology? Eddie Howe, he's obsessed with intensity. I think he's had it plastered on the wall, hasn't he? At Newcastle's training ground. Intensity is our identity, he said. And it is. They defend from the front. They all fight for one another. They're all desperate to win. They are all singing off the same hymn sheet. And they are so much better than us. And it is heartbreaking to watch. And look at the goal that they scored today. In fact, the goal that they scored today is a microcosm of everything wrong with Chelsea and everything right with Newcastle. When the ball was played over to Almiron, it was 60-40 in Koulibaly's favour. It was Koulibaly's ball. Almiron won it. Hang on a minute, that's weird. Almiron wins it. Koulibaly then has another chance. He has a slide challenge to make. Don't get near it again. Almiron then steps back. Joe Willock curls in a beautiful, glorious strike. It was a goal of beauty that flashed in the net. And that's the difference. Chelsea signed Koulibaly, who didn't put his neck on the line. He had the opportunity to win it and he opted out. He cowardly opted out of winning that ball. Newcastle put their necks on the line. It's a microcosm of Newcastle and it's a microcosm of Chelsea, and it is a painful reality. We're all over the place. Thank God we have a break for this World Cup because we need this run to come to an end. And thankfully, the winter break is going to do it for us. It's a complete disaster. I really don't know where we go from here. Let's just hope that we see a reaction once we're back just after Boxing Day. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Interested to hear what you have to say, as always. But I truly believe that Chelsea are now in crisis. Am I right? See you in a bit.